before you start with any marketing, what do you need to have? What's the basic things that you need to have? Well, the first part of the marketing is you have to have a product or a service to market. You have to have something to market. So let's start that conversation with the word what, right? Very simple. What is it? What is the product? What is the service? And we really interchange those two. Product and service are the way we market that. There are some distinct, unique things that we do to market both of them, but we have basic fundamentals that we can apply to both a product, a physical product, and a service. Now, what's important here is that we have to make this product or service different, and we call that product differentiation. Okay, so we have to make it different, and we might hear that term USP, which is unique selling proposition or unique value proposition. That's interchangeable. So what does that mean? That means that we have to have a unique product or a unique service. So as an example, Jerry, if you're preparing meals, right? Okay, you're doing Caribbean cooking, but maybe there is a dish that you make really well that's different than other people make it. You have a special recipe that you use that someone else doesn't have, right? That would make you unique. So, oh, we got to get Jerry because he makes jerk chicken a certain way, right? Think that type of thing. So how you make yourself unique is important. That's that USP. If you're an artist, you have a way of being different in the way you present your art. So it's all unique to you. That's really important. Think about this. Who shops on Amazon here? Most of us do, right? When you go on Amazon, you can put in any product. It doesn't matter what product you put in. You see 15 of the same product, 30 of the same product. You start looking at what makes those things different, and then maybe it's price, maybe it's delivery, maybe it's color, but you're looking for some way to distinguish what's different or not. And that's what the what is. You have to have a product or a service in order to be able to start the content up. Okay, now, the consumer is out there. The consumer is out there, and the consumer normally has a problem or a need. They have a problem to solve or a need to fill. A problem to solve or a need to fill, right? If you're the consumer, think about what you have, what you need. You need something. You have a problem that you need to solve, okay? So you're out there, and what are you looking for? Well, you're looking for that product or service to solve your problem. You want to go on a vacation. That's a problem. That's a need. You go on the Google machine and you start typing in Caribbean vacation or ski vacation or cheap vacation or whatever it is you're searching for. That's the what that's going to come up. That's the what that's going to come up. Now, how does that what come up? What do you see if you put in what we call a keyword into Google? Google will populate content. Google will populate content, okay? So that content could be ads, it could be blogs, it could be videos, it could be all kinds of different things. So let's say you want to go on a beach vacation. You punch in best beach vacation, least expensive beach vacation, 2-day beach vacation, whatever it is that you're looking for. You're punching that into Google, and up comes the content that's tied to the what, which will be the product or service. So those keywords indicate what someone is looking for. So as a marketer, we have to understand what people are looking for. We have to know what our keywords are. We have to know what the content is that we have to serve up. Because if we're in the beach vacation business, We have to do videos, we have to do blogs, we have to do ads, all that stuff, and then we have to create that content. So when you punch in Google beach vacation, our content comes up. Now you experience this already as a consumer, because when you look for things, that's what's happening, right? That's exactly what's happening, is you're punching into Google and then up comes this content, and that's what that is. So that's what keywords are, that's what keywords do for you, and that's what content creates. So the type of content that we'll be talking about would be things like a blog, a post, a social post, advertisements, videos, social media, all that stuff is content. And content comes in, I like to say that there's a content pyramid. At the very top of the pyramid are videos. Videos right now are driving all kinds of traffic. Like, who's on TikTok right now, right? Everybody, right? And what do you see on TikTok? All those videos, those 1 minute reels, Instagram reels, YouTube shorts. All that video is driving interaction. All that video is driving interaction. So videos at top of that, and then you have written words. So you have any type of blogs or any type of advertising you do, that's what we call the copy. And you also have the images, right? The photos and the images, that's all part of content. And then you have audio. So you have podcasts and things of that nature. You have audio on top of images. Sometimes you just have an image and there's someone speaking over it. That's all part of the content. So we have to create different types of content to help us solve what that query is. Remember, we're trying to solve a problem. That's really important. We're trying to solve a problem. And the only way we do that is when we're able to create a product or a service that meets the consumer's needs. It has to meet the consumer's needs. That's valuable. And we use keywords to help us get up there in that search bar. And we use content to help us create visual interruptions so that consumer could say, oh, this is what I'm looking for. Now, when you go to Google, what is the first page you see? You see all this stuff on the first page. That's called the SERP, the search engine results page. So SERP is search engine results page. And that's normally the first page of Google. It's hard to get on the first page of Google. You have to do a lot of work. It takes sometimes months and even years to get on that first page of Google, but you can get there by creating content based on these keywords. Okay, so some of the things we're looking at is how do we create content and how do we create those keywords that tie into those contents. All right, that's the what. Now the next thing that we talk about is the who. What do you think that means? What's the who? The who would be the target audience, right? That would be your target, okay? So let's say we sell Professor Ken's bottled water. It's rich in nutrients and vitamins, and it's great water, but it's special water because it helps you with digital marketing. So who is my audience? Well, my audience would be anybody that's thirsty, right? But more importantly, my audience would be anybody who's thirsty who wants to learn or is trying to get better at digital marketing, because that's more specific. So you want to be more specific in that target audience, right? That's really the key. So when we create a product or service, we know what the need is based on our research. We have to do some research here. We also need to know the who. Who is buying this product? Who is this target? So the messaging has to tie together. The messaging has to tie into what we're trying to do and why someone is buying it. And that takes us to that next question, is the why. Right? Why are they buying that product? Why are they buying that product? So I know what the product is. I know who the audience is, but now I need to know why. Why are they coming to this beach place to take the vacation? Why are they buying Professor Ken's bottled water? Why are they using Jerry as their caterer for their event? Okay, there has to be a why behind there. We all do things for reasons. We have motivations. So we have to understand, as marketers, we have to understand the consumer's motivations, the why. And that's sort of the intent. So when you search for something, you're not searching for something just for the sake of searching for something. You're searching because you want to get to a solution. We as consumers want to go from place A to place B. We want to get to another place. We always want to get to another place. So we want to either make ourselves better or improve our lives somehow, go on a beach vacation, get the marketing water, whatever it may be. We're trying to improve. We're going from point A to point B. Think about something you bought recently, right? Who made a purchase online recently? Anybody? Right? What'd you buy?
I got a gift for someone.
Okay. Why did you get a gift?
Because it was a holiday.
A holiday. All right, perfect. So you wanted to go from not having a gift from that person to having a gift for that person. Because why? You wanted to please them. You wanted to give them, be special, something like that, right? You had a reason behind that. So that's the motivation. That's the motivation of why we do things. We do things for reasons. We don't do things for no particular reason. When we search online, we're searching for a very particular reason. So the three important questions we always need to ask ourselves is what, who, and why. What is the product and service? What makes that product or service so different? We have to have that unique selling proposition. What are the keywords that we would use to help us with that product or service get in front of the consumer? What is the content that we would create that uses the keywords? So are there blog posts? Are there videos? Are there even emails? And then who is the target audience? Because the messaging has to be good to the target audience. The messaging has to be good to the target audience. So we have to make sure that we're sending the right messaging to the target audience because they tie in together. And then lastly, the why. Why are they buying? Why do they want to buy? That's key. Someone's going to want to buy something. We have to have the reason why. Okay? So when you do this assignment and we're looking at things like the target, the goal, the focus, the keyword, the channel. So all this information is important, but then there's different channels that we have the content on. Who's on Facebook right now? Anybody? Right? Most of us are. I am. Who's on Instagram? Right? That goes hand in hand. We're on Instagram. Anybody on TikTok? Right? I am. YouTube, yes. Right? LinkedIn. All these are different channels. Are the people on TikTok the same people that are on Instagram? Yes or no? It depends. There's some crossover. But your audience could live on Instagram, your audience could live on TikTok. They can live both places, but you have to make sure you know who that audience is. If you put stuff on LinkedIn, do you do advertisements on LinkedIn? What would you do on LinkedIn? You would do something more professional. You wouldn't do like a crazy video because LinkedIn doesn't have those kind of crazy videos, right? But TikTok, yes. So the channel that you choose will also dictate the type of content you get out. And that ties to your keyword and your goals. Everything we have to have ties into goals. We have to have goals. So what is our goal? Are we trying to generate more money? Are we trying to generate more users? Are we trying to get more website visits? What is our goal? That's really the key here. So once we have our goal, we can start setting this up. Now we're going to talk about the marketing clock. The marketing clock, let's think of it as a round circular pattern, right? And it starts at the top. And the clock, if we did the clock like this, it'll start very much at the top. I don't know why, but it doesn't look like this marker is good for this board. It starts right here at the top. And that's really having a goal. What is our goal? How are we going to get to where we need to be? Like, what do we need to do to accomplish that goal? So once we know that, then we can create a strategy, and that's the next part. So now we create a strategy to accomplish that goal. Then after we create a strategy, the next part of that is a execution plan. We go ahead and execute it, right? And then after we execute it, we measure it. We have to measure it because we have to know whether or not we hit the goal. So I'll give you an example of that. Let's say the new year is here. You want to lose weight. Perfect. Well, now you have a goal to lose 10 pounds. Well, what is your strategy to lose the 10 pounds? Well, you're going to eat healthier, maybe do some more exercises, right? You're going to lay off the ice cream at 10 o'clock at night. You're going to drink less Coke, whatever it may be. You got to come up with the strategy. Then you need to execute. If you said you're going to stop eating ice cream at 10 o'clock at night, you have to stop eating ice cream at 10 o'clock at night. If you say you're going to exercise, you have to try to exercise. That's the execution. And then what do you do a week later after you've done that? You get on the scale to see if you lost any weight, right? That is your measurement. And then week 2 comes around. What do you do week 2? What is your goal? Your goal is to lose 10 pounds. The first week you did this and that, you executed it, and you then measured it, you only got a half a pound. So what do you say to yourself? Oh, that's not enough. I need to create a different strategy to lose more weight. So you figure out, okay, well, I also got to cut out the bread, and I got to cut out the donuts in the morning. Maybe that'll help me. So you try that strategy now, and then you execute it. And then you measure it a week later. Oh, you lost 1.5 pounds. That's good. I like it. So now you can create another strategy. Let's lose more weight. So you see, it's a continuous pattern. That's exactly what we do time and time again. So we have to have a goal. We have to have a strategy. We have to execute it, and we have to come back and measure it. Remember, I told you that this is a combination of art and science. So you have to have the art and you have to have the science. The art is this content. The science is the measurement. And that's how we do things, and that's how we measure it, okay? So this is really what this is all about. How do we create content to get in front of our audience to help us sell more product, get more services delivered, or whatever that may be? That's sort of the concept, okay?